Hi, welcome back to The Journey. I'm your host, Bervin Harris, and today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about recidivism programming. When we think about recidivism, we often think about those who are formerly incarcerated, trying to get them off of the track of committing a crime or going back into the life of crime, right? And so what I want to do when we talk about recidivism today is forget about being arrested or incarcerated. There are some of us who have habits that allow us to do them daily. We just haven't gotten caught yet. Right? And so when I think about recidivism, I think about breaking any bad habit, any bad thing that we do that's offensive from one to another or offensive to yourself. So with that mindset, we all should be having and being a part of some kind of program that's going to help us get on the right track. All right, so don't go anywhere. The name of this program is called iBelong. We'll be back, and welcome again to The Journey.
Welcome to the Mr. Harris Show. 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 It's called The Journey.
We're back, and so I'm joined here in the studio today with three individuals who are part of the iBelong program. And I'm gonna let them talk a little bit after. First, let me let them introduce themselves before I give you the full gamut of what iBelong is and what it came from, what it's all about. Let me hear from them first. So we're gonna start with you, my dear.
Hi everybody, I'm Jessica. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you here.
Hi, I'm Max. Thank you for letting me come to this show.
He too is happy to be here. He's bubbling inside. And yes, sir.
Jeremy, this is my home, so I'm always happy to be here.
Happy to have you back in the building as well. So you know what? My first question would be, it's just some broad strokes, right? And without really defining recidivism, and even iBelong, how would you define iBelong? Any one of you, how would you define it?
I would say in simple words, it's a place where you can come to talk about most of the things that most people don't talk about on the outside. Like they usually talk about it on the inside with themselves, but they don't get to talk about it on the outside with people who are actually going to listen and respond back to them. I feel like that's a little simple, nice answer for it.
I like that.
Yeah, I agree a lot. I think that iBelong creates a space where you're learning so much that opens your eyes to the world around you. And I think that it can help grow the mindset of everybody.
You want to add to that?
Yeah, it started off as a journey with just strangers, but it turned into, family, a journey with family, and then just learning life aspects, seeing each other grow, busting out things that just you think you can never do.
Right. I love the idea that you use the word journey within that definition because it was absolutely a journey. So look, I looked up the word recidivism, right, just before I came in here, just to refresh and to see what the definition is being spelled out to be. It says a tendency for a convicted criminal to reoffend, right? So if we took out the word convicted criminal and put a tendency for people, right, not to reoffend, then that makes it for everybody, right? So as you guys know, and in iBelong, we've had everybody from murder raps, literally, in the room, to drug possessions, to just, some violent crimes, so on and so forth. But then we had people who were just like, I'm just trying to figure out life.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lost on this journey, and I just need some direction and some redirecting, and that's really what it's really all about. And for those of us who are kind of tuning in, I like for you to redefine it to be that way. Whether you're working with a criminal justice program, Department of Probation, NYPD, it doesn't matter. We work with all of the above. But to me, when I look at a person and I have them in our room and we're breaking bread and we having dinner, I see an individual. I see a person who's just kind of trying to figure out life. And that should be the approach that we all should kind of take within this recidivism work. So you talk about how you would define it. I want to know how has it helped you? And matter of fact, I'm going to ask you two questions. Like, make it individual. How has being a part of iBelong helped you? And then you were here, some of us, you were here for a couple of cycles.
Yeah, I was here from the beginning.
And now you're a trainer, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But how have you seen it help other people as well? So how has it helped you, but also how has it helped other people that you've seen?
Me, I think communication wise, because when I first started iBelong, I wasn't talking, I wasn't big on communication or just opening up to other people. So I think that's how it's helped me. It makes me just have conversations and learn about other people, or just learn about just different places that I'm in, and just take that lead to just go. As for other people, I've seen people with like anger issues that just lightened up and just became a whole different person. I've seen people with communication issues as well, and just things like that.
Yeah. Don't lose your thought, but I want to stay here for a second and talk about Jeremy. I remember when Jeremy first came and someone brought you to the meeting, that brother right there said nothing. I mean, like, said nothing for weeks. Nothing. And I think there's something to be said in that. And so here was our approach. We had you participate just enough to be involved, but we let you like open up at your own pace. And I think that's important, right? You guys now work with kids and stuff like that, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Some kids come in, ain't got a lot to say,
Right.
or are not sure about how they want to present themselves. And so before they open up their mouths and say something that people redefine them the wrong way, they just rather be reserved. But there's a way to have them still be a part of the environment, still be a part of the room, have something to contribute, right? And you say, hey, do you agree with that? Sometimes I just took a nod from you, like, that was it. Right? That's his involvement for the day, until eventually he started speaking, and now sometimes you can't shut him up, right? So for those of us who are looking at starting a program like this, or having this in your churches, your synagogues, your schools, your after school programs, if you got somebody who's quiet on the side, that's okay. They will open up at their own time, at their own pace. All right? Cool. Same question.
So I feel like it helped me by like after hearing from a bunch of different people, and after being in iBelong for so long, you grasp so many other people's perspectives on other things. So it made me want to look more into just why people do things and so I did my own research on the side, and it made me want to get smarter by myself, to learn how to talk to other people and handle other people, So, and since I work with kids, it's one of the best things to learn, since I love working with kids and helping them get through problems. And when I see that I can help them get through problems, it makes me feel like I'm actually learning and actually gaining something from this. So it's a really good thing for me. That's why I like it like that.
Now, you came on board when we had a smaller group, right? So I don't know, you haven't seen it. You haven't been in a large group like these guys have been. I think we had like 6 or 7 people in the group that you ran. But can you speak to how you think it might have helped someone else?
You can clearly see how it helped other people, because some people were looking forward to coming back, and some people were, when they first got there, they weren't smiling, they weren't happy, they didn't want to talk that much. It didn't really make sense to them. But then after we talked for a while, it like we said, it looks like it comes with family, and so they get closer and they get more comfortable and they start talking, and then you make friends, and then you make family eventually. Yes. So I think that's what it helps with people at the beginning when they first come in, and that's what they first need to learn, and they need to learn that they're comfortable, and then they can finally start talking.
I love it. I'm coming to you, Jess. But what you help define is what's on your shirt,
right?
And what that shirt says, I belong, right? And I'm a believer that there are a lot of people who are walking around outside just aimlessly, not feeling like they belong to anything or I'm a part of anything. And what we often say, many for those of us who work at RYC or if you're in the MWAM band or even iBelong, you're a part of something bigger than yourself, right? So now you're being accountable to your brother, your sister. When you late, it's not that you're late, we're all anticipating your arrival, right? So it's a big difference, right? And so now when you come in, you're right. We've seen people like quiet, acting mean, boom, la la. By the time we get to the second, third week, it's like, yo, y'all like my fam. And when people say that, I know you probably feel like, man, they're saying that because they don't know what else to say. I think it's real. I think there are a lot of people who don't have familia. And I'm going to define family not just as a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister. Right? That's that person that you can count on. You knew that once a week you can count on food on the table and somebody's going to greet you with a hug or a high five, and somebody's concerned about how you are doing. And really that's what you want family to be there for you, right? And do that and be that. So that's what iBelong became. And so that's where the name kind of came from. I belong as being that I belong to something, I'm a part of something, right? So same question, how has it helped you and how have you seen it help others?
So iBelong has helped me, I think definitely in my relationships. So like whether it be family, friends, loved one, it's just kind of like knowing like how to handle conflict, knowing how to better communicate, knowing like people's point of view and perspectives, putting that all into count when I'm just having my everyday conversations. It just helped me so much better, like be less stressed, have less anxiety, and just be more happy overall. So that was the biggest win for me. And I think for others, I would say it gave them a new perspective overall. Cause like Max said, it's like unspoken truths, like of the world that people don't really hear about, and like it helps you like just be happier. So I've seen people learn about these things and have a whole new perspective on life. Yeah.
So for the audience, we'll put things in perspective. Where do you live? Don't tell me your block.
Yeah.
But you live in what borough?
In the Bronx.
All right. Where do you live?
Bronx.
In the Bronx, right? So this is the same area that we have the highest crime rate out of all. Bronx. Now Brooklyn's number one. We go back and forth. Brooklyn wins this week. Bronx wins. Right now, the last stats show that Brooklyn is ahead. All right, got us beat by a couple of body counts and a couple of drive-bys, right? But the Bronx is right behind that, and so part of the narrative that we've been trying to work hard and change is like we only hear about the negative. We rarely see the positive. And I'm trying to let you know as hard as I can. This is the positive, right? So. And just use your mind for a second. Let's explore and let's talk about the journey. They come, you guys come, you become empowered. You get a glimpse of what I talk about, you shall be, of what you can be. Then you take that empowerment and you go right back out into the community, right? And now you're talking to your friends, your mama, your dad, right? Significant others in your life. I want to hear about that a little bit. Did they see a change happen with you? And what was their response to that change?
So I can start off. I first started off with my friends because once I started the program, I already knew I was gonna like it. So I was like, well, I love this program. So I told my friends about it, and after I told them about it, and I told them about communication and like stuff like that, they began to gather interest in it, and so we began to talk about subjects like communication and other subjects that we talk about.
Incorporated body, right. All that kind of stuff, yes.
And so usually when they do something, I tell them about it, and then when I do something, they'll tell me about it. And then, it's like a cool thing that we don't really realize that we're doing it from iBelong because it's now such a normal thing for us, but it's just normal between me and my friends. And it's a good thing to have with your friends. My family, you can definitely see that my mom has noticed it in me. She sees that I am a lot more spoken, and I like to talk about. She knows that I love to talk about mental things, like things you think about all the time. So she knows I like that, and so when she's seen that I started going to iBelong, it became more of like she asked me more questions about herself. Like she asked me questions about herself and things that she could figure out for herself, and I helped her do things, using my knowledge of what I learned in iBelong. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's good. That's good to hear. Anybody else got experience like that?
I definitely do. I would like to talk about or touch on maybe having like a hiccup between like when you're trying to get maybe a friend or family or loved one to understand the point of view of perspective. Sometimes even when you thoroughly explain it and it's understood, I've gotten asked me, why should I think that way? Why should I act that way? Why should I change the way that I already act? And you don't expect that because you would expect, people to just jump on the boat.
Yeah.
But it's like if I have this understanding my entire life and you just expect me one day to just change my entire mentality in a way, it's like that can be hard for some people.
Yeah.
I think it's for some. It takes work and it takes like the want.
Yeah, give me an example. I agree with you and I know what you're talking about, but I want you to give me an example.
So to be specific, like explaining communication to somebody. Like, let's just say after you done explain, like, I need an effective response for us to like get through this problem we're having. And someone can't or doesn't know how to yet get on that boat with you. It can be a hiccup because you're ready. You're ready. You know, you're incorporated. You got all the knowledge. But teaching someone can be a bit of a stepping stone. It takes time.
Right. So let's just stay on communication.
Yeah.
And we talk about communication. Define communication real quick. Is what? Sender. Message. Receiver. That's what communication is, right? But we talk about something else here called effective communication, where you have a response. And one of the things we talk about in communication is ways in which we communicate, right? So let's just use that as an example, because here's some of the pushback I could imagine that you get. So, hey, there's other ways of communicating than using verbal, foul language, right? When you do that, you kind of make it look like, you don't care about yourself, this, that, and this, boom, or your vocabulary is limited, or you have anger issues, nah, bunk all that, son. Like, that's how I talk. You gotta accept that,
Exactly.
Or you might want to think twice when you're yelling and you're screaming at your kids, right? Maybe you're making your kids fearful, or other people see you and think that you're a mean mommy or a mean dad. They mind their business. They're my kids. I'm not gonna tell me how to raise my kids, right? That's some of the pushback, right, that you kind of get, right?
Okay.
So why do you think that happens, anybody? Why do you think people's first response is, this is me, this is how I do, like this, that's their problem?
I think because that's what they're taught, like going down family traits and how you was brought up or how you seen your grandmother raise your mom.
Yes.
That's just what they was taught. So they're not open because that's their family. They're gonna do what their family says. But eventually when y'all open that relationship, y'all gain trust, they'll see it differently.
That's right. You're spot on. There's no difference when you walk down the street. Like, I feel like, no disrespect, I feel like Bronx is probably the dirtiest borough. Sorry. For litter. We just throw stuff on the ground. The garbage can could be right there. We get out the car and you just throw stuff all on the ground, right? But then if you go to somebody and say, hey man, when you do that, man, you're making the place look crazy. Like, could you just throw in the garbage? Of course, don't give me words. Probably want to fight me even over asking to throw something in the garbage, right? But it's what you said. If I was raised in the Bronx my whole life and I saw everybody throw everything in the trash on the ground, and here you come talking about, man, it's a better way to do this. We have more pride in our community. I ain't trying to hear you.
Right.
Now, but people change.
Yeah.
How do you make that change? Not make it, that's probably the wrong word. How does that change happen? Because even with the people that you spoke to, because I don't believe you fight anybody for change. I feel like you offer them, like feeding someone. You don't make anybody eat. You say you're hungry, they're starving, and you offer them something. If they don't want to eat it, then I feel like you just walk away. When they're ready, they'll eat, So same thing here. How do you change your community if they're not listening to you verbally? We didn't go through this in class per se, but what you think?
I would say consistency.
Come on, talk about it.
Like, if you know somebody's struggling in a certain aspect, you'll try that first time. If they push it away, cool. But you'll try again. And then you keep trying, and then they'll see like, oh, this person really wants to help me.
Yeah.
And they'll open up. They'll probably try it out, and if they like what they see, then they'll be there, and they'll change with you, and you'll even learn things from that person.
Right. And so I'm going to use your word consistency because I believe in that. And I often say this, right? People say they don't have friends, whatever. I said if you want to have friends, you must first show yourself friendly. Right? And so the same thing here. So if I want to teach you, like, maybe you shouldn't curse, right? That's whatever the case may be. Then you should never see me cursing. Or if I slip out, I should be like, I apologize, because now I become the example. If I'm saying like, hey man, we should take better care of our community and don't litter, then I should not litter. And if people watch you long enough, you go like, yo, he's been at this, he's been consistent with this. His house looks nice. He can't do this by himself. He can't clean this Bronx borough by himself. Yo, man. The next thing you know, they start doing it and they change themselves. So you guys don't realize that you become stewards of change. Like, you're not just credible messengers through conversation, but you're stewards of change by observation. Because people are watching you. You got this iBelong shirt on. You're trying to talk like you got some sense, like you got plans for your life. Then all of a sudden they're watching you. Next thing you know, they're following suit, right? So always keep that in mind, and people are always watching you and things of what you do.
Welcome to the Mr. Harris Show. 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 It's called the